welcome to another episode of Recipe to Success. Happy New Year to everyone. This is 2021 and we've got a lot of special things happening this year. Something special right at the end of this episode. So if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe. We've also hit over 2 million impressions in 2020. We started, I think, in May, restarted in May 2020, and 2 million impressions just on YouTube alone. So thank you for all the support. Keep supporting. And we're going to start this year with a bang with Tarik. How are you, Tarik?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
So obviously you've become quite known on TikTok and Instagram,
Yep.
business side, but just as an influencer, as we were talking off camera.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right, so myself, Tarik Miah, I own a couple of businesses, one being Pictur That, which is mostly the biggest thing that's happened to me. Then I've got luxury wedding chauffeurs, which I own, like a Rolls Royce R8 and a couple of other vehicles. We've also recently purchased a vintage vehicle as well. And there's other small ventures that I've got, and 2 more, inshallah, coming together for this year. I won't get into it too much as of yet, but that's it really.
So the main thing that you're known for is Pictur That.
Correct, yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know exactly what you do for Pictur That, because obviously it's evolved over the past year especially. So for anyone that's wondering, maybe they've followed you on Instagram, they see your Pictur That in your bio, but they don't know what it is. What exactly is it?
So Pictur That is essentially a media company, mainly focusing on the wedding industry. So we do wedding photography and cinematography. We used to have the photo booth element as well once upon a time when the photo booth thing was a hype. So we kind of adapt to the whole media side of things, whatever is media related. So we used to have the photo booth itself, the oval one, and then we used to have the mirror booth as well. So that's essentially what we do. So wedding photography, cinematography, and to go more into depth with that, we focus on luxury wedding stuff. So we do a lot of international weddings plus UK, but more like the high-end side of things.
So I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. You're in the wedding industry, an industry that has basically been put on pause.
Oh, God.
So how has the last 8-9 months been for you?
Bro, I don't know where to go with this. Obviously, it's a topic that it's brought up so often nowadays, whether it's with my friends, family. Yeah, we're bombarded. And every time I watch the news and Boris is on, I know he's not going to say nothing about the wedding industry. It's just a pain. But to answer your question, it's been a nightmare. At the beginning, I didn't feel it. I actually thought back in March that June, July will be back to normal. And I was confident.
Your peak season.
Yeah, peak season. I was like, you know what? I'm confident it will be back to normal. And June, July, August, touch of September is literally 70 to 80% of our business. A lot of luxury weddings, big weddings, they never take place during February, Januaries and Decembers because it's too cold. Mm-hmm. Who's going to spend 50, 60, 70,000 pounds in a cold season? Do you get it? No one's going to do that. It's only summer. So we literally survive on summer. And I was gutted. We had existing bookings which then either got postponed or cancelled, which was a nightmare to sort out because we're adapting to the scenario. So I don't know what to do, how to do. Contracts would have to be then reassigned and stuff like that. It's just crazy.
Difficult to plan.
Yeah. A lot of planning was involved. A lot of calls and negotiating and talking and trying to get them to understand was another problem. A small thing that we faced was some people just got married and didn't tell us, and then they came back and
your clients.
And then they're like, Tarik, we had a small wedding. Was it possible to get a refund? I'm like, what? How is that even possible, man? You didn't even tell me. We thought that you're going to postpone the wedding. So small things like that, which it wasn't planned for, it just happened, and it's just been a crazy, crazy journey.
What about the positives? Because obviously a lot of good has also come out of it, and I think you are right. We are bombarded left, right, centre about COVID. We look on the news, there's nothing but bad news. But there are positives that can be drawn from it. So any positives from you?
So positives would be, I've been doing this since 2011. So we're touching onto the 10th year. So since the moment I've started, I've never had a lot of free time. I used to work 7 days a week. I used to get in trouble for working 7 days a week. But this year, it's given me the opportunity to enjoy myself, enjoy the free time, enjoy what I've actually worked hard to build. Would drive all the cars whenever I wanted, mainly during summer, because imagine summer I am working every day at weddings, so I never used to be able to drive a luxury car during the best times of the year. So now I have, or go to on a holiday. We've had a lot of lads like holidays and little getaways and stuff like that. So it's been a good journey. It's been very fun. So for me, I'd say ultimately it's that I got a lot of me time, and I managed to sort of just take the best out of that year. And when I compare my years, 2020 would have to be, most definitely has to be the best highlight. Like 2020. It has to
It's
be.
almost like the best and worst year.
Yeah,
It has
exactly.
its pros and its cons.
It does. So I'd say business was the worst side of things, but personal life and me time was the best that's ever happened. You know,
Mhm.
it was good.
And part of you having a bit of fun and letting your hair down a little bit led to content being created and
Hell yeah.
people going crazy on Instagram.
Yeah.
So everyone has now kind of seen they kind of think this is your end chapter almost, because you have done quite well. But in terms of like the upbringing, where did it all begin? Because obviously I'm talking about even before Pictur That, years ago. Like, where did the inspiration come from? How was your childhood even?
Yeah. If we go right to the beginning, and before I start this story, there'll be a lot of downs. So I'll start anyways. So I was not born here. I was born in Bangladesh. 1996, I came here with obviously mum and dad, and there was in total 5 of us. There was 5 kids. No, sorry, my sister was born after. 4 kids. So 4 kids. So it was 2 boys, 2 girls. All right. Dad, again, he just got here. No form of education, nothing whatsoever. And he's worked his ass off to provide for the kids, us, and obviously keep his wife happy, keep a household. He was on the lowest possible wage system, should I say, like mostly £120 a week to £150 a week at the beginning, should I say. Thereafter, obviously, he worked his way up, and he got to a point where he became a chef. He did pretty well, but my dad, because he's been working so much and he doesn't have the education, etc., he never opened up a business, or he never had the courage to do anything. Whereas myself, on the other hand, as I grew up, I saw a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of people around me who are very successful, who did things for themselves and lived a lavish life, should I say, or things that I wanted anyways. So I saw all this, and one main person who inspired me, should I say, was my cousin, my first cousin, my aunt's son, basically. I call him Baisa, basically. So he inspired me a lot. He did very well for himself. He himself was actually in the wedding industry, so he used to have an event management company. Back in them days, event management was quite new, so he did really well, and I think he stuck to doing that for like about 10 years. So November 2011, I was at a family wedding, where these 2 guys basically were setting up a studio, and they took pictures, and it was such a simple idea. It's a manual setup where you put a backdrop with 2 lights. You physically, as a person, take the photos. You go up to your laptop or computer, if you had one at that time, and you use a normal printer to print out pictures and sell them as if you would kind of like take the picture as in a studio and sell the pictures instantly. And it was such a wicked idea, and like the family members of the bride and grooms, they loved it, because with photographers, let's be honest, you don't get the pictures instantly. It'll take a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
Do you get it? It'll take a couple of months. Whereas if you're promising the family, hey guys, you're dressed up, you're looking good, you've put time to do your hair and makeup and whatnot, let's take a quick picture, we'll print it and we'll put it in a little strap mount and give it to you guys. It's only £10 or £15. So I saw that idea. I myself took a picture with my family, and I still have that picture in our house. So that's what happened. And then I saw that, and I spoke to my cousin. I was like, listen, I'm into media. So just going back a little bit, I studied art and design at school, multimedia in college, and motion graphics at university, Ravensbourne University. So at that point, I kind of realized I love doing anything to do with media, whether it be editing or taking pictures, whatever it was. I loved the idea of it. So that's why I was more intrigued with what the guy was doing. It's so simple, and it was possible to do myself. So I went to my cousin and I was like, listen, why don't I do this? Let me buy the stuff, and you help me. You're in the wedding industry. Can you help me get me leads, get me business? And he was all for it. And he gave me the biggest push. In fact, without him, I don't think I'll be here, bro. I'll be genuinely honest.
How old were you when that happened?
At that time, I believe I was 21. So I was still at a good age to kind of understand everything. I didn't really start business that early, but early enough. So yeah, at that point he helped me, and he got me into some of his wedding. So where he was doing the event management, he kind of said to the clients, we've got someone, he's part of the company, Unique Events, he's going to come and take pictures. And the bride and groom allowed it. But, little did they know, I was nothing to do with him. He was just helping me and supporting me. So I did that about a year. I did pretty well. And I used like a semi-pro camera for that, because again, I didn't have the investment. And I invested, actually, it's good, I tell everyone who's watching this, I invested £1,500. Just £1,500. And at that time of my life, I didn't have a lot of savings because I was into my cars. I used to buy cars, and insurance was a nightmare. $3,500 for my first insurance. Man, that's a lot of money for a 21-year-old. And I was at university as well. So I didn't have a full-time job. I was like literally doing part-time work as well. So I had about £2,000 saved at that time. £1,500 of that was going to a camera, which is a Nikon D90, which is a very good camera for back then. And then I bought the printers, the lights, the paper, the ink, the whatever I needed, basically the backdrops, the tripods, and the stands. So I did that for that year. December 2011, 11th of December was the first job. Wow. I still remember.
Iconic day.
Literally, man. It was at the Walthamstow Town Hall. If anyone knows Walthamstow, Town Hall was the first job that I did. So that was the first job. And then roughly towards the end of 2012, I thought to myself, you know what, I can't do this forever. Because the problem that you have with this idea of the business, or the system of the business, is that you go to weddings, you don't know how much you're going to make. You're not pre-booked. So you go there and you call out all these family and friends and say, guys, do you want to take a picture? They might say no. And not even that, you've done it so often that these people have gone to another wedding that you've gone to, so they recognize you. And you're like, bro, we took a picture like a couple of months ago. We don't need another one. So you go to a wedding, sometimes you make £200, £300, £400. Sometimes you actually walk out with nothing. And it's happened. And it's those moments that I thought to myself, you know what, this is not something I can continue with. So
what happened on that day where you made nothing? Like, people just weren't interested?
People weren't interested. People were too busy enjoying the wedding, number one. Number two, because they've done it before, I don't think they just wanted it anymore. Yeah, exactly. The novelty has worn off. Even now, like, you go to a photo booth, like a digitalized photo booth where you touch the screen and stuff like that, you don't really bother anymore because you've done it. The gimmick is gone. The excitement levels are gone. So that's what happened, and I obviously had to change the model of business. And I thought to myself, the best way to do this is if I go into a system where I get pre-booked. So I was like, you know what, I've learned how to use the camera, and by the end of 2012, actually middle of 2012, I actually reinvested some of the money that I made into buying a Canon 5D Mark II. And now we're on Mark 5, I think, if I'm correct. Are we on Mark 5?
4.
We're on 4. So we're talking about a camera which has evolved now like twice, so that's a very old camera, but back then it was a really expensive camera. Just the body alone was about £2,300, so it's really expensive. So I bought that with the kit lens and a flash gun and stuff like that, and I started learning how to use a camera from automatic to a manual. A lot of these things I actually taught myself. I watched YouTube, I self-taught myself. I never went to courses or worked for anyone or whatever it is. I never did that. 2013 came and I started building a lot of network. A lot of these network was pre-existent from the studio days. So I used to work with a lot of venues as well. Like, you know how my cousin helped me with getting the weddings? I used to actually network with the venues and say, hey guys, if I can get into your venue as a pre-agreed kind of photographer who's taking photos, and I'll give you guys a commission. So there's about 2 or 3 venues who I had on my books, should I say. They helped me a lot as well. So these people, when I stepped up a level and did photography, proper wedding photography, they helped me. All they needed was like a portfolio. And I remember times where when I was doing the studio stuff and I had that 5D Mark II, I used to go behind photographers and take the photos as if I was a real photographer. Yeah, wow. Man, I did all that stuff just to build. Yeah, and I used to take those photos and pretend they were my photos so I can create a portfolio to show bride and grooms, hey guys, look, I can take pictures. But they weren't even my client. So I used to do things like that to make myself look like I was something where I was nothing. So 2013 hit, and I didn't have an office, I didn't have nothing. I used to operate from my bedroom. I used to have a MacBook. So I used to use my MacBook Pro, which I bought in 2008 when I started university. I used to do editing on that. Then I went and bought a proper iMac. That was like another investment, blah, 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 blah. So when I went into the proper wedding photography, I used to have clients come into my bedroom. I used to invite them to my house. And at that point, I didn't really think much of it because I thought to myself, I was confident. I can sell a product. So they came. Some of them were a bit iffy because, like, I'm just operating from my house. Who knows what will happen? Do you see? I'm not a limited company, or I don't have nothing to my name. And a lot of people really trusted in me, and they ended up giving deposits and stuff like that. And I was well chuffed. And even to this moment, I respect those people who gave someone like me who had nothing, who had no name, no nothing, who had a belief, who had a passion, who had a dream. And without these people, I genuinely wouldn't be here, bro. So respect to them, people. So obviously years went on by. 2013 November, I was able to then take up an office. I moved from my bedroom. I took out an office which was in Bowl, and I built a team from myself to another person. Then he ended up being 7 of us in the office by the end of 2016, I believe it was. So 3 years on, alhamdulillah, I built a proper media company. I had people on my books, full-time people, part-time people, and I was able to now take on weddings, not just for photography, both photography and cinematography. And we literally took over East London and London, most probably. We were known throughout. And then I believe 2017 was our first destination wedding. And we went to, I completely forgot where we went to, but we've done a lot of destination weddings. Countries that I always dreamt of going just for holidays, but work took me there, you know? So there was a lot of things that I used to say to myself that if I put a lot of time into my business, the business will look after me. And it has. And those words are very true. And I really hope people who are listening to me right now could take these words and use that for themselves. So if you truly believe in the passion that you have, definitely go forward and do that. But always remember, when you do make that money, or when you make any form of money, always reinvest. Because when you reinvest, you elevate the business, which then elevates you, and it just gives you better things and opens up new windows. So it's very important to remember small things like that, because there are people out there who make that extra 10, 20, 30, 40,000 pounds, but then they go blow it, buy a car, buy this, buy that. Don't do that, you know? Again, I've never been onto a holiday ever until I hit 25. I grafted so much.
It probably took a lot of sacrifice, because in 2020, 2019, these kind of years, obviously we had the boom of Silicon Valley and venture capital and, you know, investors coming in and pumping in money, so you could almost scale a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But I think now, obviously, including myself and the current generation, we've probably neglected the sacrifice from it, because obviously when you're sacrificing holidays and all these kind of things, it's hard in the moment.
It is.
So how did you get through that period?
Do you know what? It was hard, man. I used to have friends. I mean, obviously I still have them. I have friends who used to go on holidays during the peak season. So it would be the April and summer, Easter and summer, which are the best times for anyone to go on holiday, because the weather's really good outside of UK. They always used to go, and I always used to decline. It came to a point where they'd go 3-4 times a year, and I'd still be stuck in the UK because I'm doing weddings. At that point, I don't really care, not in a rude way, because I thought to myself, you know what, I'm building something for myself. There will come a time where I will go, and it's worked for me. Mm-hmm. So how did I go on about it? I think in that moment, because I was so bogged down to building something for myself, I didn't really care. And again, I don't regret any of that, because right now I've put so much effort and time where I can do all that right now. Yes, I didn't do it in my young youth days. So what? Now I can enjoy it. In fact, before maybe I would have taken £200 with me, but now I don't have to worry about that stuff, you know? I can do as I please, how I please, be sensible about it, obviously, but I can enjoy time and not worry about it. So it doesn't matter.
So perseverance was probably the biggest
100%.
key.
100%.
Now, you mentioned early on, obviously your dad was a chef, and he almost didn't take that step of being an entrepreneur. Now, you had your role model around you, but other than that, what allowed you to take that, build that courage and start something on your own?
What? I'm glad you've touched on that, because there's a little story that I always remember. It's actually it's a sad story, but I don't see it as a sad story anymore. When I was a kid, I did. So there was a moment when I went shopping with my dad. So we used to do weekly shoppings. I went to Tesco, which was our local grocery store, basically. So we went to Tesco, and I must have been, let's say, 11 years old at the very most. I went to Tesco. There was a car there. I wanted to buy a little toy. And again, like I said, Dad's got 4 kids, and he's just come. Mostly 5 years down the line, he's just got a decent job. I wanted a car which was about £20 or £25. I remember I was crying for that car. Dad didn't buy it, because to him that £25 was most probably 20% of his salary, or 10% of his salary. Weekly earnings, not salary. So that was a lot for him. and I cried. I still remember, man. I cried for that toy, and I got home, and actually before I got home, I was so upset with Dad that I didn't help him carry the bag. Like, we didn't have a car or nothing like that, so I didn't help him carry that bag to the house, and he carried it, and he was fuming. I can tell, and I was walking behind him, just like walking behind him, crying and like so fumed and upset. I got home, and he hit me. Right, he hit me, man. He hit me because he was pissed off at me. And again, like at that time, bro, like I thought to myself, you know what? That's not nice. Whatever just happened, and I was really pissed. I was angry, and I was like, why can I not get what I want? My mates are this, mate, and we have this problem even to this day, man.
It's probably worse now,
bro. Like you have, like my nephew, he'll mostly see someone wearing a Gucci top or whatever, and he'll be going to his mum and saying, "Mum, why can I not get that?" And it's kind of messed up, but it's society, man. We can't do anything. But it's important that we don't think, why has he got it or why can he do it? No, work for it yourself. At that time, like I said, I thought to myself, why didn't I get that? But now I've realized, because he didn't give it to me, I've had that hunger. So to answer your question, what made me do this is because I was not given anything. I wasn't given anything, so I had the hunger, and I was desperate to become something, to prove to myself that I can have whatever I want, I can do whatever I want. And there was other moments in my life, like I couldn't even afford to pay insurance, like, do you get it? But all these little elements of my life has made me become the person that I am. And because I didn't have anything, it just gave me hunger. Even for yourself, I'm sure, bro, like you want something so bad that now you grow for it, you work hard for it. But however, if this platform was given to you, you'd come in laughing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be special for you.
It wouldn't be special. You wouldn't want to elevate it. Like you told me you come up with a new idea for today. Would you have given that idea, bro? You're doing that because you want to bring it to the next level. You want to elevate your platform. So it's stuff like that for me. Like I didn't have nothing, so I just wanted to go above and above and above to the point where I can just be appreciative of what I've got and have what I've always dreamt about when I was a kid. That's
it. 100%. I think that one of the reasons why I wanted to ask that is because I'm always so curious of how entrepreneurs begin, like in their early years, because me personally as well, I didn't come from a lot, and I think that gave me the hunger from very, very young, because not only did I want to do it for myself, but I wanted to give something to my parents as well, who didn't really have enough.
Exactly.
But it's funny because without that struggle, you would almost not want to find a solution to your problem.
100%.
Because there's no need, right?
There is no need.
And when there's no need, there's no creativity almost. So that's why I wanted to touch upon that. And moving down the line, obviously you had the benefit of having someone in the industry that helped you, but you still had to learn things your way as well. So what was the best way that you found early on was actually getting some sort of recognition? Because you mentioned networking. Obviously it's a little bit different nowadays. We do have social media, we do have platforms that we can network from.
Correct.
And people still make excuses. So what's your advice on that?
All right, so early on, like you said, social media was not as huge as it is now. Like Facebook was the one, right? So forgetting Facebook, because Facebook, again, it comes down to the social media side of things. So forget Facebook. I think the best way is the old way, man. Just talking, just networking. So what I used to do, in fact, is I used to go on Google, find the local venue, the local caterers, the local whatever, decor companies, whoever, anything to do with weddings. I used to call them up and say, hey guys, my name is Tarik, I own this, and I used to give them a 5-minute brief of who I am. The most who got pissed off at the end. So I was like, do you mind if I come down just to show you guys what I'm doing, and if I can propose an idea? I was telling you, like with these venues, I proposed them like a commission-based kind of thing. So that's what I did before I got into their good books. So I called them up, and one hotspot was Bethnal Green for me and Green Street. They'd have a lot of like all these wedding-related places, which everyone knows now anyways. So I used to go up to these shops and say, whatever I need to say, and explain to them who I am, and do it the old way, the old-fashioned way, where you physically have to walk and get into the doors. It's like a guy, I watched this little video actually, a guy who knocks on people's door to sell one of his products, and he's knocked on so many doors that he's given up. But there comes a time where someone believes in his thing, and someone sees his thing, and then they buy into that. And then later on in the video, you see that he's driving a Ferrari. So that was kind of like me, bro. Like, I'll be honest. I don't mean to sound like big-headed, but that was literally me. I was literally knocking on people's door. My form of knock would be calling them to book that meeting. I went there. They heard my story. A lot of people declined it. A lot of people said, okay, no problem, we'll call you. But I didn't get that call. But a lot of people took it on board and said, you know what, Tarik, no problem, I'll help you, man. And it happened and it worked. And that's how I actually go into these vendors. So I'd say the old-fashioned way always works. Social media is good to get direct clients. But the old way, business to business, is always the way if you wanted to sort of connect with businesses. So B2B would be go there directly, speak to them, have a meeting, blah, blah, blah. But if you wanted to get to new audiences, just direct clients, it would be social media and other sort of like online platforms would be the easiest way.
Mm-hmm. One other thing that I think I personally learned in 2020 was the ability and the importance of being able to pivot when necessary in business. Because as an entrepreneur, when things don't go your way, you have to find a way that you can generate new business or kind of branch out a little bit. And you did that from day one when, you know, the novelty had kind of worn off, you had to pivot. And I'm sure you've pivoted this year as well. So now that Pictur That is where it is now, what's going on now in terms of the other ventures as well as Pictur That? Is there anything new that people can expect?
All right. So, I mean, with me, bro, like I never was able to sit steady. Like I'd always want to open up at least minimum a new business every year or minimum 2 businesses. And I've done a lot in my life. Some have worked, some haven't. Like I used to own a restaurant with a shisha lounge. I used to own a catering company.
Where was that?
It was in Ilford.
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to drop that one?
No, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Let's leave that out.
That was the past.
Yeah, that was the past. Yeah. And again, like I used to own a decor company, a caterers company, whatever. Like I used to do a lot of things. So what's new this coming year? I don't want to get into it too much, but I've realized one thing. I mean, it's not that I've realized. I knew that anyways. I'm kind of doing something away from the wedding industry. So it'd be something to do with like food, should I say. I'm not going to tell you what category of food, but it's going to be a restaurant or a cafe, but something different. We're putting a lot of time, effort and attention into this, and we're investing a lot of money. And I say where, I'm not going to say who, but there's a couple of us who are putting our brains down together and doing something big. And the model is designed where we can franchise from the get-go. So we're building it in a way where someone can look at it and be like, yo, I want that. That looks wicked. So that's the way we're kind of designing and developing this new investment, should I say. And yeah, like I don't want to get too much into it because you don't know.
It's too early.
Yeah, it's too early. Like something could go wrong. Inshallah it doesn't, but I'd keep it hush. And maybe once, in a couple of months, they'll be like, yo, this is what he was talking about. And that's what I want. I want people to be like, yeah, this is what he was talking about. And he did what he said, So I'd just leave it at that.
So do you think that the time off and the holidays away allowed you a little bit more free time and a free mind to think about new things?
Yeah, I'd say 100%. It's allowed me to actually do a lot of things, in fact, doing the research, think of ideas, go to visit these premises, because like there was a time where if I'm not doing physical shoots at weddings, I'm editing. So time was valuable. I couldn't even give my own family time. So I'd say 100% it helped to kind of allow me to think out of the box or do these site visits and think and come up with this concept. And like I said, we're doing 2 things. So people have a hard time doing one. We're actually doing 2 things. So I'd need a lot of time for that.
So what motivates you now, considering that you've achieved what you initially set out to achieve, and now you've kind of got to the next level, but you haven't stopped? Some people do get complacent and kind of call it a day. True. What motivates you now?
What motivates me now? It's hard to answer that, man. With COVID, it's hard to keep yourself motivated. And I say, this is something that I say to a lot of people. When you are right at the top, let's just say you're a staff member, you go to work, you're a bit upset, you're a bit down. Who motivates you? The manager or someone, right? But when you are the person who's at the top, who motivates you? No one. So self-motivation is key. When you're at the top, trust me, bro, like waking up at 9 or 10 in the morning, no one's telling you to wake up.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, bro. It's really bad. Like lately, I've not been waking up on time, but I don't have no one to say wake up. So what motivates me? I'd say for me, it'd be, again, I still have the hunger to achieve things, to be successful. It's not always about money. It's about having certain things under your book, i.e., maybe a property, or rather than having just that one source of income, you have other revenue, coming in. So I'd say it's just the idea of continuing to build my portfolio, and perhaps kind of like, so let's say we've got the luxury wedding chauffeurs. You know, we had 2 cars this year. So we had 1 car last year, which is 2019. In 2020, we bought 2 cars. During COVID, we bought 2 cars. So for you to be able to do that, you still have to grind. You still have to make something. So that's a form of motivation where I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I want to continue elevating the business, and I don't want people to think just because of COVID, Tarik's sitting down and he's effed up or something's going wrong. So it's just that idea where I just want to continue keeping myself happy, proving myself that I can continue doing whatever I want, even the hardest times. Because if you can do it during the hardest times, bro, in the easiest times, it's a piece of cake. Like business will come left, right, and center. You just sit there typing, you know. And there were times like that. Phone calls were coming left, right, and center to book PT, and it was so easy. But then when this came, I'm like, yo, man, this post is not generating anything. But it's tough. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah.
You mentioned, you know, that you, like, for example, you can wake up late. Yeah. And by waking up early, it's a choice. Almost no one's really pushing you, and you don't have to do it. But why don't we talk about the importance of the grind? Because I always say that when you want a certain win or a certain goal to be achieved, it's the micro days that lead up to that big win. Without the small wins and without the grind on the tough days, you don't get to that big win. 100%. So why don't you talk about that? Because I'm sure, you know, we did kind of make it sound that whilst you did have a difficult beginning, after that 2013 to 2016 it kind of boomed, but there's definitely, I'm sure, hard days that you had to persevere through.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. There was a time where waking up early is a must, because it's just you who's editing, or it's just you who's picking up those calls and doing those meetings, and then eventually you had a team on board where you don't really physically have to wake up early, let alone go to work. You know, like right now, if I didn't want to go to the office, I don't have to, but because I have the passion of editing, I still go in and still create those trailers and all these little videos. Why you should stick to your routine, I'd say, is because it keeps you going. It keeps you still motivated. If you slack, if you wake up late, you kind of allow your brain to sleep as well. So even when you wake up at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., believe me, I'm sure everyone will feel this. You feel like you've wasted your day, and you feel like to continue wasting that day. You don't feel like going out.
Start again tomorrow.
Do you see? So how many start again tomorrow can you have? So waking up early, it will, again, just give you that boost of starting the day fresh, nice, early, get you to do things, and you're more productive. You know, it's just simple things as you do more thing in your day. Rather than waking up at 2 p.m. and then you've only got 3 hours until the office closes, or 4 hours, you go in and you're like, oh, you're dossing around. And secondly, as a creative individual, if you don't start early, I personally feel that anyways, you're not creative. You're kind of just slacking. You're just doing whatever you need to do for the sake of it. So for me as an individual, waking up early just allows me to just be more active, do more things, and just gives me a push for my day. That's it, really.
And what's the importance for you in your journey on hard work? Because obviously we're in the generation where we've got books like 4 Hour Work Week, and we've got Instagram where, you know, people are taking selfies on the beach and saying, join my course. But the reality is that hard work is old school, and hard work will always be the variable that you have control over. So what's your take on that from the years, especially the early years?
I'll tell you one thing. Hard work is important, but I feel like starting from zero is even more better. And why I say that is because I'll give you an example. Let's just say my dad, he started as a kitchen porter. So he's peeling all this stuff, then soon went into, I don't know the roles, but anyway, let's just say he went to like a second chef and then a chef. I'm sure there's sous chef and all that stuff, right? When he got to the end, number one, he valued the transition. Number two, when someone tried to say something to him and say, oh, it's taking me 10 minutes. No, mate, I've done it. It doesn't take 10 minutes, it takes 1 minute. So what you're doing now is keeping your business to a point where you don't have staff members, or you don't have individuals who are taking the, I don't know if I should be using this word, but taking the piss. You keep your business in a way where it's still efficient. Yes, you're not there. While you're not there, you're still paying someone. If a video is going to take me 4 days, it should take them 4 days, maybe 5, not 2 weeks. So stuff like that is what I'd say hard work brings. It brings knowledge, it brings power, it brings patience, and you just appreciate things as well. And if you just, like I said earlier as well, if you just get something given to you on a plate, bro, you wouldn't know the left and right. Forget the center. You wouldn't know what to do. Yes, this guy's going to say, oh, bro, like, it's taking me a week. Oh, no problem, man. Is it going to get done? Yeah, it's going to get done. And you just take it on your chin and go ahead. But little do you know, you're creating a mess for yourself in the next 2-3 years. That business is gone. Where did the money go? Why is your salary, or why is the outgoings more than the incomings? It's because you don't know the business model thoroughly. People are literally eating you before you get to eat anything for yourself. So start from the bottom, learn everything, know everything, and believe me, bro, it'll be much more better. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. And maybe for anyone who has already built a foundation, maybe they've got a little bit of money, maybe they've saved, what's your advice to scale? Because I think starting out, you can, to a certain extent, with a lot of hard work, build a lifestyle business. But then scaling it to an operation where you do have staff and you do have overheads, what's your advice on scaling?
All right, so scaling is a tough one, 100%. And I'm not going to lie and say I scaled easily. I think I was able to scale because there was a lot of people who were willing to do certain things for free for me. I'll be honest, there's no point in me hiding. And
like interns, basically.
Yeah, like acting like I'm this amazing person I got here.
To be honest, let's talk about that, because that is quite taboo. And to be honest, in my opinion, you know, at my business, we've had interns as well over the years. And I think the benefit of it is it's a two-way thing. You know, it's not you ripping off someone. It's this person's young. They've got no experience.
Exactly.
You're teaching them everything.
Thank you very much.
And essentially, you're giving them a free education that they would pay, what, £9,000 a year for? So really, it's a two-way thing.
Yeah, you're starting them up. And what you said, bro, I'm glad, again, with me, bro, I don't like to fabricate things. I became something, yes, but I had hardships, and I had to, I wouldn't say cut corners, but I had to do certain things to elevate my business.
To find a way.
I had to find a way where I could get it done properly or easier. So yeah, I had interns, I had students who would, dying to work for Pictur That, and still are most probably, and people who are in the creative field who study media, but let's be honest, there isn't much work out there. There isn't a physical job. You're not going to exactly get a job at BBC. You're not exactly going to get a proper job at a graphic design studio. You're not. So people like us who are small businesses who give younger generations opportunity, that word flies around and people start applying when you have that job vacancy. So there were a lot of like people who were studying, who had no knowledge of the wedding industry, and I took them on board. And trained them and gave them experience that they, again, had no skills or an insight to it. And by me doing that, it allowed me to obviously get them at a good place. And the benefit I saw from that was that I have young people who I can mold, who I can get them to work in a way where they kind of understand Pictur That better than anyone else. And they learn something where it's only designed and developed within our company, and that's all they breathe and they create for me, should I say. So that's what helped me a lot. Mm-hmm. But going back to your question about scaling, it's a tough one. I'd say all this comes down to passion and believing in yourself. Because you are right, you can work for yourself and create a little lifestyle, but you want to come to a point where you don't have to go to the office every day, or you don't have to edit yourself. To do that, I'd say you have to take risks. Sometimes you have to lose some. And what I mean by that, bro, let's just say you're making that 30 grand a year or 40 grand a year, and after expenses, you're left with something. Maybe bring someone on board part-time and give them a chunk of what you're supposed to take home. But
that's the key part, right? Because you almost, when you start out, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
You make a bit of money.
Yeah.
But then to scale it, you have to almost take a step back yourself again.
Let me put it to you this way, Humza, yeah? Imagine reinvesting in a computer. You've got one computer, you need another one for another guy, right? Where's that investment going to come from for that computer? From your pocket, right? So it's the same thing. You are now investing into another team member. So you have to take that chunk of money, give him that salary, whatever you pay him, but that's your form of investment to the business. So don't look at it as it's coming out of my pocket. Think of it as I'm buying a computer or a laptop or a camera or a lens. Think of it like that. Yes, it's not a one-off payment and it's a staggered payment per month, right? But look at it as that. By you doing that, there's so many possibilities out of this. He does some of your workload where then you can focus on marketing, going back to those old meetings or meeting new people or connecting with people, where then you get more business, which then brings you more money. So whatever you gave him, you've kind of just put it back into your pocket. So it's a cycle. Mm-hmm. And we're scared when it comes to money, obviously money makes the world go around, and if it makes the world go around, it makes me go around, right? So yeah, we are going to be scared of losing most probably half of what you will take home. But think of it as an investment. Think of it as you're putting into someone who's then going to make your life easier or allow you to do something that you couldn't have done. And then it will just go around in a circle back to bring you some form of income. So I don't know if that helps, but I'm hoping it would give them an idea, or you know what, taking a little loss in that way is not a problem because I'm just reinvesting into the business. And that's what it is. The key is reinvesting. How are you going to scale yourself? It's plunging in money, right? Money's not coming from investors. You are the investor. Clients are bringing you general money, but you need to reinvest, and you're the only investor in the business.
I think probably the analogy that would make the most sense is almost like watering a plant.
Yeah.
Like you can't just water it one day and then leave it for 10 years.
No.
You have to keep watering it.
And I think that's the problem that we have in the young sort of generation, where you bought a camera or you bought a car or you bought something and you think that's the only thing that's going to make you money. No, bro. I bought so many cameras. In that 10 years, bro, I've bought so many cameras. I bought a camera last year, which I've not even used this, like last year, meaning 2019. I've not even used it for 2020. But I'm thinking to myself, 2021, I have to come in with a bang, reinvest. Where is that money coming from? From my savings. Business didn't make nothing. I have to take it back. And
that's how you stay competitive as well.
Exactly.
In your space.
So even big people have problems, man. Like, it's not just about how do I become big, is how do you stay big as well? You get to that point, like, how do I keep myself innovated, or how do I keep myself one step ahead of the people who are literally dragging me down? Because that's what's happening now. You've come to a point where you're everyone's eye candy, but everyone's literally pulling you down. How do I stay at the top? How do I keep myself to the top? You have to reinvest, re-innovate, learn new things, and I have to do that myself. I always learn the new things and then pass it down to my staff members, you know? So I have to be the first person to get all that knowledge. So I take these little training courses, or I buy these little things and learn it, or new editing tools, and I have to literally sit there learning myself and scratch my head and go to YouTube and be like, yo, how do I do this? So you have to just keep yourself going. Don't ever think, yes, I can sleep at home. Bro, you can sleep at home. Bring your laptop out. Do the work from home if you want. And that's what I do sometimes. So, yeah.
Would you say that part of being able to see the bigger picture and getting there is patience as well?
Patience is key, man. I'll tell you that. You are right. Patience is key. But there is a big but to this. Sometimes patience makes you lazy. Sometimes you have to have hunger. Yes, patience is good, i.e., let's just say, I don't know, let's just say, you know what, I need to get to the 20K for this next whatever season or whatever, and only then I can buy a camera. That's patience. But you still need that hunger to make that 20K, you know? So patience is good, but don't confuse patience with being lazy, because you have to still be, you have to be like literally going 100% miles per, like 100 miles per hour every single day, but still have patience for certain things. So it is good, but still, like, don't slow yourself down. You know, don't mix up patience with working hard. I don't know if that makes sense.
I
have
get
patience
it. Like,
with certain things.
Don't mistake it with complacency in the sense of like it's gonna come to me.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You have to go get it.
You have to still go get it.
Be patient in the sense of the rewards will come later down.
That's it. I think that's the best way to put it. You're totally right. Yeah.
Another thing that I have been kind of thinking about recently, through personal experience as well, is I think when a lot of the time, a lot of young people watching right now or listening right now, they're going to be maybe in a part-time job or working in employment. And a lot of them have this aspiration of being an entrepreneur. But the only kind of thing that I've learned from a negative point of view of working in jobs before is that once you start becoming an employee, you get used to the stability of being an employee. Whereas as an entrepreneur, it's not every month you can take the same amount that you took last month and vice versa. So it goes back to the reinvesting part, but how important is it as an entrepreneur? You might have a nice car, but the reality is you might not have £100 in your bank account because you've reinvested in something. And from an outside perspective, it's all glitz and glamour, but the reality is you are going through your own thing. So from your experience, for anyone watching, how do you explain the journey as an entrepreneur compared to an employee, and what do they need to do in order to be prepared for that journey?
So I think the beginning phases of becoming an entrepreneur or starting up a business, should I say, is the hardest. And I'll give you an example. Before I started Pictur That, I used to work in 3 places. One was Domino's Pizza. I used to be a delivery driver.
Shout out Domino's. Sponsor us.
Domino's days. So Domino's Pizza. Like I said, I was a delivery driver there. I used to work in a call center called Network Research, which is in Aldgate, I believe it is. So I used to do all these like market research with HSBC and stuff like that. And simultaneously to that, I used to work at this place called NDA Toys. So they used to sell wholesale toys to like corner shops and schools and private places, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did those 3 jobs and somehow still managed to keep myself in college. I wasn't the greatest in college. Yeah,
3
man.
jobs?
Yeah. I used to somehow keep myself in college. I'm not going to lie, I didn't used to attend all my lessons, but I still managed to get out with my...
what you needed to get.
What I needed to get to university, you know? So eventually, I had to slowly let go of 1, 2, and then the last one. But I was smart. I think what's good about me is I'm always like conscious about like money and numbers and does it add up, does it not? I could be like that. And one thing I also say is sometimes it's good to be stingy. It sounds bad as a normal person, but believe me, bro, being stingy is mostly the best thing that could ever happen to me, because by me being stingy, I calculate what I spend money on. Do I really need a bloody watch today? No, I don't. Do I need a camera today? Yes, I do. So stingy in the right way, meaning don't spend on yourself too much. Think about what I need more, what's more important. So when I was doing all these jobs, I thought to myself, you know what, PT's doing this much. If I let go of this, it will be fine, it will balance itself off. And then eventually, like I said, I dropped all of them. But the problem that I have with PT, or I had with PT, is that it's a seasonal business. April's, March, June, July, August, touch of September is good. Anything else, you're screwed, mate. You need to have money saved from all these other seasons, a rainy day kind of pot.
To stay afloat.
And at the beginning part of my life, I did not understand none of this. I didn't understand. I saw that money coming in July, August, September, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I should have done this before. But obviously, as time went by, that savings were dropping. Then I got into the steady flow. But at the same time, when you're making that money, you want to spend on yourself as well, right? So just forget about spending on yourself. As I was saying earlier as well, it's all about, in fact, you were saying as well, watering that plant. You have to keep plunging the money. So it's a tough one. It's a lot to do with what you believe, how you want, what you want. It's all to do with that, man. I'll tell you that. Sometimes you might even make that £10 but still do the job because you enjoy it. You know, I've had times where I charge a client 3, 4, 5, 6, £7,000, but then at the same time, there's a client who really wants to book us, and they're so lovely, and they're like, I've followed you for 5 years, Tarik. I really want you for my wedding, but I can't afford you. And I've given them a chunk off. But why did I do that? It's because they have the passion for us, and I have the passion for what I want to do. So I went and did it. So I don't know how to answer this, bro, I'll be honest, but it's a lot to do with you kind of just wanting things in life, and then at the same time you appreciating the value of what you've got and just going for it. Because
like I remember I saw the other day on Instagram there was a post about Elon Musk, and when he sold PayPal for like $180 million, he took all of that money and invested it in Tesla and other things, SpaceX, and he borrowed rent money from his friends and his family because he had nothing left for himself. So it's almost about the longevity in business. And I think nowadays we're so caught up, you know, myself included sometimes, that you're so caught up in the moment and you're seeing on Instagram, this guy's got Gucci or this guy's got a Rolex and social this, media. That, and it does something to you because you're consuming so much of your time on there that naturally it becomes your thoughts. And so I think the importance of breaking out of that is the longevity, is remembering that life can be short, but life is also long, and we do have years ahead of us, and you know, we have to obviously work towards that.
You know what, I'm going to touch on something based on what you've just said about looking at something and then thinking, yo, I want to be like this, This is something that I say to my colleagues at the PT office. Sometimes they come up and say, this trailer by X is really nice, and I'm like, bro, why are you telling me it's nice? Create a trailer for yourself that looks as nice or better. So it's the same thing that I use in my life. This guy's got this car, no problem. Let me work hard. Let me get that car. Or this person just bought a nice top or whatever. Forget clothes, actually. This guy's created a wicked video. Wow, sick. I want to do that. I start calling up my clients and say, hey guys, can we please do a destination shoot? Do you get it? So Don't look at something and think.
Take motivation from it, but don't
Exactly.
like wish that you were them
No.
as an individual, because you don't know what they've gone
No,
through.
exactly. Best thing to do is look at something and be like, yo, I want to be that. How do I do that? I do it like this. Let me go do it.
And also
then-
take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Because it's not
Yeah,
always.
No,
how it
100%.
is.
Yeah, it's not always how it is. No, that's for sure, man. Like some of the stuff that I post on my social media, you don't know. I might have got slapped the day before and looked at as if like I was perfectly fine, and I covered that with my hand like that. You don't know.
It's true.
Trust me. There's moments where I'm so sad, but I post up a picture and it makes it look like I've had the best time of my life. But yesterday was a crazy day for me. Social media is nothing, man. I'm telling you. Social media is, and obviously people say that I show you what I want to show you.
Mm-hmm.
And people like myself, I don't like, how do I put it to you? Like, I don't have the best life outside of social media. However, if you were to go into my social media, you'd be like, this guy's living a millionaire's lifestyle. No, I don't. I'm nowhere close to that. But it's like I said, I just put the best part of my life. No one likes to put the rubbish stuff. But yes, we all have bad moments. And in fact, this is why I'm telling you some of my bad moments as well. So, yeah. It's good to keep yourself away from social media sometimes, and even think to yourself, maybe he did certain things or he let go of certain things. Maybe he didn't go to a holiday until now he's able to go on a holiday or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always some setbacks for there to be something even better.
Mm-hmm. And going in full circle now, we still have a lot of hardship in 2021 ahead. Obviously, you know, we've gone through a lot of hardship and it's going to continue. That's the reality. So for anyone that is maybe at home, a little bit depressed, a little bit anxious, I think I've noticed a lot of people that normally aren't are going through certain things. So from your perspective, from a business point of view anyway, what can people be doing during these difficult times?
Okay. Again, it's amazing how you ask these questions, because I'm going through these things obviously.
The idea is that you think about the answer, by the way. It's so that, you know, you actually think and it's a thoughtful answer, whereas, you know, a lot of interview style, you know, podcasts or platforms, it's quite scripted. So
yeah, I like this.
For me, I want...
You're adapting.
Yeah, I want the audience to be able to really benefit from the truth.
100%. So to answer your question, I'm going to give you a good example. Before COVID, my monthly personal expenses were X amount, like in the thousands, right? So I used to go eat, chill, enjoy holidays, this and that. It was like
2019 sort of time. Well,
even
before
before
COVID,
that,
basically
before COVID, like 2017, 18, 19, whatever. I've got a credit card which has a 20 grand limit, and I used to use that to the best of its abilities, right? When COVID hit, I was like, yo, I can't do that no more. I can't spend a crazy amount of money and live a lifestyle that I can't afford. And it's the truth. As much as it sounds bad, it's the truth. And I'm not the only one in this position anyways. So I've started to become a person where I stopped going out a lot, stopped buying a lot of clothes, stopped buying myself all these unnecessary, non-essential things, and I've cut down my cost. And I swear to God, bro, like by me doing that, not only am I more peaceful inside, because I don't have to think, yo, how am I going to get that money to pay off my bills and whatnot? I've got that money sitting anyways, because I'm not spending. So that's one thing that I've done recently, which is cut my expenses and cost and my lifestyle stuff that I didn't really need to, and just kept it to the main essential day-to-day stuff like fuel, insurance and all that stuff. And obviously office is a whole separate category, but my personal stuff, I cut it down. Same thing with business. Certain things you might not need, like we have PLI insurance, public liability insurance. I'm not even doing weddings. I've cancelled that. I'll be honest. I don't even need that. So again, it's a small thing, but look into your statement, should I say, or whatever. Look into your life and see what you actually need or what you actually don't need, and just mentally prepare yourself to be like, for the next 6-8 months until COVID dies down, I'm gonna be this person. And I swear to God, bro, you might think that you'll be depressed, but you're not. You're actually going to be able to think better, because you'll be able to sleep better, you'll be able to look at your bank balance better, and you'll be able to save a lot more as well. So that's one thing that I've done. I've cut down my costs, and I'm telling you, there's a difference in that, and it's just made me feel so much more better about myself. So that's one thing you can do.
Perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to introduce the new segment of the show,
okay,
which is the first time we're doing this, 2021. Nice. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. So we've got a little timer here for everyone watching. Okay. And for everyone listening, listen carefully, because it's going to be fun. So I'm going to ask you rapid fire questions.
All right, cool.
And with these questions, it's literally going to be, it's going to be 2 options. So you can choose basically option A or option B.
All right, cool.
But literally you only have a minute to answer all the questions. We probably will finish in that minute.
Yeah.
And the idea is, again, going back to what we said before, is thinking and for people to actually understand a little bit more about Tarik.
Okay.
So let me pull out my phone and let's get the questions ready. So we're gonna.
I can see a lot of questions there.
It's only 19 questions. So we're gonna. You ready? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
I'm doing this wrong, right? Okay. This is the first time. Sorry about this at home. Okay, let's go. So night in or night out?
Night out.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
AJ or Fury?
AJ.
Money or love?
Oh man, why are you putting this on me?
By the way, it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be family love. It could be any kind of love. Texting or calling?
Calling.
Laundry or dishes? Doing them yourself.
Laundry.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Winter or summer?
Summer, 100%.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Yeah? You don't really watch football, do you?
I don't.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. So. I've heard more about Messi, that's why.
Passenger or driver?
Person, jail or driver?
No, passenger.
Oh, passenger.
In a car or driver?
Passenger. Lately it's been a passenger, man. Yeah, too much driving.
We spoke about this, but early riser or night owl?
Early riser.
Nice car or nice home?
Oh, that's tough. Lately, nice home.
Oh, it's finished. The time is finished.
Oh, I was actually enjoying that.
But let's continue anyway.
Go on.
Let's continue. iOS or Android?
iOS.
Pizza or burgers?
Pizza.
Cardio or weights?
Weights. Yeah.
Netflix or YouTube? This is probably COVID time. Netflix, really?
Bro, okay. I'm on that every night,
What's
man.
your favourite Netflix series right now?
Right now I'm watching Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, comedy or horror?
Comedy, any day.
Cool.
A bit of banter in my life, man.
That was the first time doing that. I
good.
think it's a little bit of a way, because obviously a lot of the time we're talking about quite serious things.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's made it this far, I think obviously we do want you guys to find positive content as well. So obviously that's the idea behind that. But anyway, Tarik, thank you very much for coming on. For anyone that wants to follow you, support you, see what's going on, what's the best place they can follow you? Personal and business, by the way.
So Instagram is mostly the biggest platforms right now. So Instagram is Tarik_Miah for my personal, and at Pictur That for Pictur That. And I've also got the other one, which is Luxury Wedding Chauffeurs. What else is there? Instagram, you've got Snapchat, which is picturthat.com. I'm forgetting all these social media platforms for some reason.
The main one is Instagram, right?
Yeah, that's good enough, I guess, yeah.
And you've also got YouTube now.
Oh, yes, which I'm not really that active, but YouTube as well, Tarik Miah, and that's it. You can find me there.
And what can we expect from Tarik? Because obviously it's been, you've had a lot of things going on in the past 6 months. I think people have been watching that. But what can we expect over the next few months?
Do you know what? If all goes well, and I pray that it does, I've got so much planned, bro. I'm not even joking. I've alhamdulillah bought a property as well, so it's like a family home, and I'm spending serious money redoing the whole house, like gutting it out from the cables to the wires to the plumbing, everything inside, outside, blah blah blah. So that's like the biggest project right now. So that would be something to, if you guys are into your properties or want to see like how I take something from nothing to like this nice house, that's something good. Then I've got the 2 new businesses that's open up inshallah as well. So those are the 3 things that are like the exciting parts of my life. Apart from that, I'll just be creating more content, messing around with my friends, and that's it really, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening. And don't forget to support Tarik and Pictur That as well.
Thank you.